Right folks, we're going to be looking at some hoisting. Now this is the Oxford type of hoist. We do have this at least one of our community hospitals. We have this, the major, or we have the mini, but they will work in the same way. This is the type of hoist known as the loopy. We'll look at how the loops attach to this. So there's two main types of hoist attachment. There's the loop attachment, and then there's the arjo. It's a little plastic nozzle, and I call it the click because it clicks in, the sling clicks in. Okay, so a hoist. A hoist has been designed to lift something and take it from A to B. So let's have a quick look at a patient hoist. Well, first of all, it's governed by a piece of legislation, and the piece of legislation governing this is called LOLA. Not a showgirl, but LOLA. Lifting Operations, Lifting Equipment Regulations 98. And it puts a lot of responsibilities onto manufacturers about safe working loads and all the rest of it. But for us as people who are actually using the hoist, there's only three main things we need to know. We need to know what the safe working load is, and they tend to be in kilograms and pounds. So 200 kilograms, the major, that works out at about 30 stone. So this is about 30 stone. The other type of hoist, the arjo, does actually go up slightly higher. It's up to 235, which is about 35 stone. Okay, so one thing it has the weight on. The second thing is that because it is a hoist for moving people, it will be examined by a competent engineer. That is somebody who knows how to mend hoists if they break down, somebody who has got that ability, and they will be checked on a 6 monthly basis, okay, and the date will be on the next one. And the third thing that they say is that they should be operated by a competent person. Okay, now the community hospitals have had some competency assessors on the wards for some time, because then they can see if people are competent using the hoist in that hospital. Nobody will use a hoist if they're not competent. And again, because we're in the community hospitals and at the type of clients, the risk assessment will be generally 2 people. You will only work with somebody who knows how to use the hoist that is available in your area. Okay, so that's LOLA. So then we're going to look at the main parts of the hoist. So basically we'll start at the bottom. We have a base, and depending on what size the hoist is and how long the base is. And on the base there are 4 wheels. And the idea for that is that it will move smoothly over the laminated surfaces on the wards. At the rear we have brakes. Now, this is a passive hoist, and the rule for brakes is that the brakes are only put on when it's parked. When you are doing a hoisting activity, the brakes are not put on, because what you need is, when the load is attached, you need it to find its own centre of gravity. Okay, lovely. There will be a way of opening the legs. On some of the hoists it will be a step, like that. On some of the hoists it's an action arm like this. And those of you who've got an arjo, you press a button and the legs open. Okay, but there will always be a means of doing it. Then you have the mast. Now, depending on the height or the weight bearing capacity or the safe working load of the hoist will determine also the height of it. You then have to do your risk assessment of your patient, because your patient might not weigh 200 kilograms, but they might be 6 foot. So therefore you would use the taller hoist. Okay. So you've got your going up. On the mast, you have your handhold, some way of manoeuvring it. And I'm going to demonstrate two ways of manoeuvring it. And in your training, you are going to tell your trainer which is the most efficient way. Is it way 1 or is it way 2? I will just do the 2 manoeuvres at this time. Okay, I will have a patient attached, but this is just a demonstration, okay? Way 1. Way 2. Okay, so you've got the mast, and on the mast also you have got the battery. It's everybody's responsibility to make sure that batteries are charged. They are trickle cell. On the ward you're fortunate because you will have 2 batteries. You'll have one on charge and one on. Please ensure it's kept on charge and not being taken out. They come off very easily. Put them back on very easily, and when we just put them back on very easily, we give them a little bit of technological impact to make sure that they have got the connection. All hoists will have this red button, and it is an emergency stop button, and that is because you might be with the patient doing something, not seeing what's happened. You might not notice what's going wrong. Somebody can it stops. It's an emergency stop, so it's one of the safety features. Okay. The other thing you have on the mask, as I say, is the hand control. This is a very basic hand control. All this just does is goes up and down. Those of you who were using the Arjo, you will have more indicators, and you can actually put somebody into a lying position or a sitting position. Or leg opening. They come on a wire, which means that we can be near the patient. We don't have to be miles away from the patient. Please make sure these don't get tangled up and the wires get problematic. Now, the Oxford type of hoist doesn't have a secondary control panel. The Arjo one has a secondary control panel. But if you have taken your patient up as far as they go, as long as there is some power in here, and there's a little power indicator at the bottom, underneath your emergency stop, there's a little arrow. Can you see? That is an emergency lowering. Now, if for some reason you've run out of power and there's no battery, it won't work. Okay, so that only works if there is some power in the battery. So we need to think about what happens if it should fail. So all modern hoists, apart from the Oxford Mini that I know is in at least one of the community hospitals, they will all have a way of lowering. And with this one, the more modern one, it is a nice turning. It works hydraulically. So it opens the hydraulic liquids and it allows somebody to, a little bit slow, I know, but it does work. Please make sure that when you are manoeuvring the hoist, you don't put your hand on this part because it's aluminium and it can go out of shape. If you're used to the Arjo, which is a big, beautiful purple mast, it's stainless steel, you can, it's the difference, but please don't use that. There is a second type of lowering mechanism. If it hasn't got this type, it will be a little red collar at the bottom, which we just lift instead. Familiarise yourself with the 3 safety features on the hoist in your area. the emergency stop, the emergency lower, and the third safety feature is what is your attachment mechanism for the slings. Is it the loop system here? You've got a little piece of rubber that stops it jumping off, yes? And the Arjo, it's the tightness of the click. Okay, so we've done the mast. At the end of the mast, as I say, you've got the spreader bar. And those are the main features. So remember your three safety features. Your brakes go on only when it's being parked, and the other thing is, please use your bobbing actions using your weight transfer when you are manoeuvring your vulnerable client at the end of this. Thank you. Okay, we're going to look now of inserting a sling with a person in a lying position. And we're going to show you a way where a person can roll and you don't need a slide sheet. The staff that you work with, if you have got somebody with more complex issues, they will be aware of inserting a sling with a slide sheet lying down. Okay, so we'll go back to the roll. So can you bend your knees, because I know you can, thank you very much. Look towards Lisa, thank you. Give yourself a cuddle, not yet. And so are you ready? And roll. Lovely. So like we did with the slide sheet, we're going to put this in the same way. Now, we have measured for this sling, and it is a medium-sized sling. So when you're measuring for slings, you go, depending on the type of sling, and this is a sling that does not have a head support, you go from the neck to the coccyx. And the coccyx is by the gluteal cleft. If you're using the Arjo types with an in situ head, you go from the head again to the coccyx. And for a passive hoist, we have basically got this universal U-shaped type sling. This is not a specialist sling, this is a universal type style. So I'm folding it in, so the outer bit is to the outer bit, and I've got the middle of the sling. So I'm looking for the middle of Alice's back, and I'm going to place that there. It's not on the bed, it's not up here, it's in the middle of her back. And the clue is always the shoulder at the shoulder. So if the shoulder is at the shoulder, Lisa and I are going to hold and put into place, and it's going around. I might have a little bit more. This is quite nice because it's got a label to let you know the middle of it. And put the leg in. I know it's going to be in the right place. Okay. I'm now going to keep this in here and this in here. And I'm going to fold this on top, fold it, fold it, fold it next to her body, and then I'm just using my flat palmer approach, pushing it slightly under her body, and then when she rolls back to me, and Lisa just gently eases that out, it's in situ. So we've got shoulder at the shoulder. If the shoulder's not at the shoulder, then the legs are not going to be. Now I know that Alice can move her legs, but let's pretend she can't. So again, she's somebody who's using the passive hoist because she has got limited mobility in her lower limbs. So again, we're going to place, I can compass this my hand under her ankles, and we're just going to use, I don't want to push it up, we're going to pull this underneath, ready, slide. So I've got a slidey sheet under her legs. So Now all I have to do is very gently just slide her leg up. I do my side and that leg goes through like that. Lisa does hers and I do like that. Now, I've got hold of this strap. To make sure this has come around as far as possible, I am going to hold the bottom of the loop as close to the leg as I possibly can, and using my weight to transfer, this is now going to ease under her bottom so that it's in place. You always do it at the angle across, yes? So then Lisa is going to do the one on that side. Okay. Now this is actually a washable, or can I just say that all slings are patient specific. You do not share slings, whether they are the washable or the disposable one. They're all patient specific. So this will be just used for this client while they're in hospital. And there are different slings. With this sling now, because it's a loop, and the rule with loop slings is we cross them. With this one it has a loop, so basically they are attached like that. And this type of sling, it has got a longer shoulder strap and it's got a longer thigh strap and a short leg strap. With this type, the rule is you thread that through there like that, and you now have leg straps and shoulder straps. Okay, so that's inserting a sling in with a patient who can roll. Okay. When we put them back to bed and we're taking the sling out is as important as putting it in. So we undo this and we undo that. And if they've got very vulnerable legs, we need to make sure we're going to be as gentle as we possibly can. So we roll this and the loop away from the skin, under the leg, and just peel it out. Now at this stage, depending on the person, you could just peel this back up because it will peel on itself, depending on the material, and you can loosen it. If it's of a stiffer type of material, as you get with the disposable patient-specific slings, they are not quite as easy. So if the person can manage the roll, we can then roll them. I'm just going to roll you to Lisa a little minute again. Okay, Lisa, ready? Just roll. So that I can peel that away without incapacitating the skin. And with a bit of luck, if we've done it right, Lisa can then peel that out and we don't need a second roll. Thank you. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so we've put the sling in bed onto Alice, and we've got the slide sheet underneath. And it's important that when she is being moved from the bed that the slide sheet is there, because she's got vulnerable heels. Your patients very rarely have socks on, people who need to be right. In the notes there will be a risk assessment about hoisting, and in that risk assessment will actually be written the type of sling that we are using for this person and what size it is, so that if people are not familiar with the measuring, it is written down in the notes. And it can be done by any professional that is doing the risk assessment. It can be the nurse at the weekend, it can be done by the physio, or in some places it might be by the OTs, but it is the responsible person who's doing the risk assessment. So the size and the manufacturer will be recorded. Okay, we have got the right one for you. So we have the bed up. Okay, we have the bed up. So at this stage we keep the bed up because it's now going to be easier to attach. A little trick I only found out not that long ago, a couple of years ago, is when you're going, if you come at an angle, basically if you go in at an angle and you come out at an angle, you have less manoeuvring to get to the chair, which you have planned and prepared for already. So this is coming in over the bed, making sure that the wires have been up out of the bed, and now we are going down. If you bring this in about tummy button or just a little bit lower, then that should be in about the right position. Otherwise you're going to be stretching yourself and the patient. So this is coming down, and Lisa is holding it because it does swing around, and we are concerned, particularly if the person is moving around a little bit. Now, one of the principles is that you put the shoulder straps on first. It's logical, it's about gravity. So we put the shoulder straps on first. Now, the other rule is we are going to be going into a chair. So we want to have her into a seated position, because this is not the Arjo one where we can do it with a button. We have to plan it beforehand. So we're going short as possible. Okay, Lisa's going first. We're not going to try and do it at the same time. We do it individually because that can be more awkward than stretching for the patient. She says, trying to get it over the safety feature. At least it stops it coming out, doesn't it? Right, okay. We've attached the leg straps. So we're going to be into a nice seated position. Again, we want to make this comfortable for the person. I reckon it's going to be yellow. Yes? Some of the slings in your hospitals might look slightly different to this if they're a loop attachment, but they will have 2 shoulders and 2 legs. And your supporting colleagues will explain the slings that you're using. Now, Alice has told me she doesn't like going to Alton Towers. So if I was to raise the hoist up now, she might have some feeling of vertigo. So at this stage, we are going to lower the bed. Okay, so the bed is going down. Tell your client that the bed is going down, because it can be a strange sensation. Okay? As she's going down, the hoist begins to do what it should do. Don't worry about it, that does happen. Something gets caught. We've got the bed rails attached here or not. Okay, so she's going down. And if we go down as low as possible, it's still not going to be. So basically, she's coming into a seated position. Is she all right? Just check. Particularly, check your patient's ability. Do they still have the head control? Or do we need to get a head support? We're fine with this. Okay. Now we've gone as low as we possibly can. I am going to bring you up in the, it seems a bit strange, I know, but it's better than doing the two. Please never do bed down, hoist up, because it is very confusing and it can cause a lot of vulnerability to a very vulnerable person. Okay, did you see the hoist move? That's because the centre of gravity has changed and it allowed it to be. If it hadn't have moved itself, you would have felt that. Right, okay. I've got her bottom off the bed. Right, now, yes, you see, she's got here, her legs can move with this. So I have got, what I want to do now is because I'm not taking the weight of the leg because it's still supported, I'm gently easing the knee up and my thumb is running around the rim of this and I'm just easing it. Does that feel a little bit better? Yeah, and if Lisa can do that side, that is fine. Okay, so just ease that around a little bit, and sometimes 1/4 of an inch. Now, sometimes for people, depending on their clinical feature, we may have had some sort of towel or some for dignity. The other thing I'm now going to do is I'm just going to check that this is the right size sling for you. And so I'm just checking that it's in the right place coming around the rim. Full moon, moon, no moon, Jaffa cake. If it's a full moon, I will immediately lower her down and reposition it and check the size of the sling. But I just want it to be encompassed, yes? Okay? Right, thank you, Alice. Now that we've done the check, now that we've eased the rim around, my partner can come around and be supporting. We don't have to worry about the legs, the heels, because the slide sheet is taking care of that. But your second nurse is there supporting and actually getting close. Maybe at this time we won't, but you can actually get and hold on because I have to manoeuvre this. Okay, so I'm just going to manoeuvre it away from the bed. Okay, ready and go. Ready and move. And Lisa is there supporting her. See, she's supporting her from behind. She's making sure that she doesn't move. She doesn't swing unnecessarily. I just have to be careful of people's legs. I'm pulling this back a little bit and I'm going towards the chair. Before I get any closer, it's a good idea to open the legs. It's a bit of a clunk for the person, I'm afraid. But have a chat, tell her you like her picture of her grandchildren or the rainbow they've sent her. Right, so now that she's in position, Lisa is going to come in front of the chair because we don't stand behind the chairs. And as I lower her, Lisa's getting into position and she's putting her hands on either side of the thighs, not pushing on the knees, which are a very vulnerable joint. And if we see without her going down, if Lisa just does her weight transfer, pushing her, look what's happened. She's going to be in a much better position. So Lisa pushes at the side of the thighs, while actually I could come around and help as well, because I've got this. So I don't have to be there. I can actually be here and supportive while Lisa pushes down. Then we're coming down. Okay, and she's going to go back. Oh, the chair's tipping a bit. Don't worry about the chair tipping, because as soon as Alice has landed, it goes back down. Okay, and you notice that the hoist actually has some movement in itself. Right, so here we are, we've landed. Okay, again, only one at a time. Take it off. Take it off. And before that, I'll take this out of the way because it's just in the way. We don't want to clonk anybody. You notice that Lisa had her hands on the coat hanger bar while we were going down. Thank you very much. And now we take it out. You do not leave people from a tissue viability point of view sitting on a sling, whether it is a woven material, well, they're all woven, whether it's a washable material or whether it's a disposable material. It could cause damage to the skin. If in your hospital people are being left on a sling, then there is one type of sling, we will show you a picture of it, that people it's called a leave-in sling. But other slings all come out. So again, we're very careful about her tissue viability, her very thin, friable skin, or if she has got edematous legs, we have to be very careful with that as well. Again, we peel it away, and we gently pull it away, because if she can't move this leg, it's peeling away on itself, that is fine. We do not lift the leg. If we needed to do that, we'd use the slide sheet and we can put that in. Now, if our patient could lean forward, we could peel it away, but if they can't, what we do is we gently take this behind her. I leave that to Lisa. She takes hold of my side and using her lovely weight transfer, she peels it away. And Alice, I'm just going to stabilise Alice with my hand on her shoulder. And that is taking the sling out in a chair. Thank you. Okay, so Alice has been out of bed for a couple of hours now and she would like to go back to bed. So she's very tired. She's very tired. And when I say, could you please leave? She's so tired, it's not possible. So here comes the magic slide sheet. So here is the slide sheet out of Alice's locker. And what we're going to do, now there are different ways and I will only just show you one day today. So what Lisa and I are going to do is we're going to take hold of the slide sheet and we are going to, and you can concertina it or take it down different ways. So when we say ready, if the only thing that Alice can do is lead her head forward, just lead your head forward, my love. It just gives us a little gap to put that in. So when we say ready, we are going to bring this down behind you, Alice. Okay, so don't help us because you're very tired. Okay, ready and down. That's it. Right, so we've got that down to her buttocks. Now, coccyx, yes. I think that'll be a little bit more strenuous than you, but that's fine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert the slide sheet. Now the slide sheet goes behind, the sling goes behind the slide sheet. You've got patience, slide sheet, sling, and then chair. Make sure the label is on the outside, this is just doing. We know because of the hoop that it's going to be central, so we don't have to worry. And again, the clue is always look for the shoulder strap. So we're going to go down, we're going to just get it in behind her. When we're ready, we're going to say ready and down. And we're going to go down, 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 down. Oh, it's a bit stuck now. Now I know it's not in the right position because the shoulder strap is not at the shoulder. So instead of going the long distance and pulling the long distance down, I'm just going to come to the top of the shoulder and I'm going to pull the sling just a little bit behind her neck. Just a little bit, okay? When I've got that down a little bit, I'm going to go down further and pull it down here. So instead of going long ways, it's just going a short way, okay? And if I needed to do it again, I'd go to the top, I'd pull it down a bit. So my clue always is shoulder at the shoulder, yeah? Shoulder at the shoulder. Because it's the right size, I know if the shoulder is at the shoulder, then the hoop is going to be near the coccyx. So we make sure this is down and behind. One of the problems, moving and handling, and we have to get close. We have to get close. We have to be appropriately guarded and we're following all our principles. But we can't do this at arm's reach, I'm afraid. We have to be close. Right, I'm now going to take this out because I think I've got more than Lisa. Yeah, it's going to come my way. So to stop her moving, I'm just going to put my hand on her shoulder, one side only, and take the slide sheet out. Okay, lovely, super. Okay, right, now I need to get this under her legs. If Alice could have leant forward, we would have done that. We would have said, Alice, please lean forward, but because she can't, this is a way of doing it. But very often the reason that people are being hoisted is because they have limited mobility in her legs. She might not be able to raise her legs. So therefore, we need to use the slide sheet to get the sling under her legs. Okay. So again, one at a time, and depending on how much room, distance there is between the back of the knee and the chair or the side of the chair, you can either put this in from the hip or you can put this in from the knees. So if I try and put this in over here, can you just pull that up under that leg a bit for me? So what I'm doing is I'm wanting So there will be some sensation, Alice, won't there? But it's not pulling on your skin. Not pulling on your skin. So this is going to come down, and you've got the slide sheet next to the skin, pyjamas or whatever, very often skin. And this has got to go under the knee. Now, as soon as I can get that underneath, and Lisa can see some of the strap between the legs, she is using her lovely weight transference, is going to pull it through like we did on the bed, always at that cross angle. Yes, okay? And you should have felt that sliding under your bottom. Yes, lovely. If the patient says he's got stuck, stop, review it, maybe try and put the side in slightly different. I'm going to take this out this side, and Lisa can put it in her side. On the wards, I would be chatting with Alice about whatever we were doing, or if we'd had Battenberg cake for tea, or the fact I liked the picture of her grandchildren. I'm now looking for strap. Oh no, no. Is it? It's gone in between. Yeah, it's gone in between the slide sheet. Okay. It's gone on in between the slide sheet, which is fine. So we stop, we readjust, we take it out, and we make sure that it goes underneath the slide sheet, because it does have an open ending as well. So that's fine. Yes, got it. There we go. And as soon as I've got that, what I do is I use my weight transfer, and I gently, are you okay there, Alice? Yeah. Tell me if you can feel anything that's uncomfortable, because we don't want the staff to think, okay, so I've got hold of this again, as close to your leg as possible, and I'm using my weight transfer, and I'm pulling through like that. Are you okay? Lovely, yeah. Thank you. And you haven't slipped out of the chair. And there again. So putting a sling in with a slide sheet, it might have taken a couple of minutes, but that's much better from a tissue viability point of view. We are looking after this skin integrity. Thank you.